Hey guys, I'm Doctor McFarland and I'm back with another video in the FM3 series here on the Doctor McFarland YouTube channel. So if you want to see more fractal videos, be sure to subscribe down below and click the bell and leave me a comment asking me any questions you have about the fractal units. So there are a few limitations on the FM3 that are not present on the FM9 or the AXFX3 rack unit. And more specifically, you are limited to one amp block and one reverb block. So with those limitations, you tend to use more scene controllers and modifiers and also control switches to do certain things that would be a lot easier if you had gapless switching or the ability to have more than one amp switch. So I'll go into all that more in another video. But for now, I want to show you how I've set up this preset to utilize a lot of the scene controllers and modifiers to do some really cool stuff. So first of all, we're going to choose the amp block and press edit here on the unit itself. And all my other fractal videos here on the channel are only showing how I use the unit itself and not the editor that you can get on a computer. I know it's a lot easier to see the editor on a screen, but I feel like it's very important to know how to actually use the unit. So if you're on stage or in a recording situation and you need to reach over and adjust something, you can do it pretty easily and not have to rely on a computer just to edit something. So in order to use a scene controller or a modifier, you can assign that to anything that has a yellow dot under the parameter. And the ones that I have chosen to adjust is the gain, the mids, the treble, and also the level on the amplifier. So on this screen right here, you can actually click on modifier. You can see we have it set to a scene controller. And if you go back to the previous screen, we can use our arrows to highlight which parameter we want to see. So for instance, on my gain, if I choose the modifier, that is set to scene controller 1. Then if I use my page right arrow, I can see how I've modified that. Okay, but in this instance, I'm actually not using a modifier. In the traditional sense, I am using a scene controller. So this next page really doesn't do anything for us. So let me get out of here and go back to my main layout screen. And under controllers, we're going to push on the E encoder and now scroll all the way over till we get to our scene controller. We can see we have scene 1 through 8 and then controller 1 through 4. So on scene 1, I have controller 1, which is set to the gain to be all the way down to 1%. This is going to give us a very clean sound on this normally very high gain CA3 lead channel. I can go to my neck pickup. Okay, now switching over to the rhythm scene, I have the gain go up to 6.5, and controller 2 is actually adjusting the level. So back on scene 1, the level is at 80.6. It could be at 80, it could be at 79. It doesn't really matter. It's just the current settings I have. But on the rhythm scene, the gain goes up to 6.5, but the level goes down to 75. This is ensuring that I'm keeping a nice even level across my scenes, so I'm not raising or lowering the level in extreme manners. Okay, so far it's pretty easy. And then we have the lead scene, which is going up to 11 on the gain and down to 75 on the level. Okay, now on scene 4, this is my tremolo scene. Let me go up one view. You can see I have tremolo, ambient, and swell. So most of the time when you have a tremolo effect turn on, it can tend to duck down in volume just a little bit. So I do have this set to clean, but my volume is at 78. Now compare that setting to the clean tone, which is at 80. I could probably stand to bring this up a little bit. So let's actually go down here and use my navigation buttons to go to my scene controller 2, scene 4. Let's just raise this up to 80. Then I hit store, press enter, press controllers, and I'm back to where I was. Okay, Same thing for my clean ambient. I have the gain go up just a little bit more, and the level is at 79. And then my clean swell, I have the gain actually up to 3. So it's just slightly more dirty than the clean sound overall. And my level is at 78. Okay, now we also see we have something assigned to the scene controller 4. So let me show you what that is. I'm pretty sure it's the mid parameter. So let me go in here, go to source. Actually, that's the pitch follower. And then maybe it's the treble. So it's the treble. So we can see that scene controller 4 is adjusting our treble parameter. And what that's doing for us is, I didn't like the sound of the EQ once you added more gain. So scene controller 4 is adjusting that treble knob just a little bit depending on which scene I'm on. So going back to the amp settings here, we can see if I go to clean, the treble went down a little bit to kind of smooth out the high end. Then the rhythm goes up a little bit more on the treble. Then the lead goes up a little bit more than the previous scene. So that gives me a little bit more clarity, a little bit more punch on the top end, while still smoothing it out on the clean sound. Okay? Now, speaking of that mid, we can see this is assigned to a pitch follower. So if I go in, so what the mid knob is doing with a pitch follower is when I'm playing lower chords, it kind of stays in that middle area. But as I play higher, it actually lowers the level of that mid knob, so it smooths out the mid range as I play higher notes, which is not totally necessary all the time. But as I was learning about modifiers and scene controllers, I thought it was kind of fun to mess around with that mid knob just to see what I could do. And assigning that to the pitch follower was a really cool idea. So that takes care of everything on the tone page. Now going into the input EQ, we can see we have a few things assigned here. So if I click on modifier on definition, this is assigned to a pitch follower. All right, so once again, if I play low chords, that's gonna smooth out the low end. So it keeps those chunky riffs nice and tight, but also raises the top end a little bit. But as I go up the fretboard here, you can see the middle frequencies kind of stay flat. But also this gain knob here, which is boosting 4K, is also assigned to the pitch follower. So what this is essentially doing is it's giving me a nice low end cut on the chords. But as I play high, okay, is boosting more mid-range into that gain structure and just helps it to poke out a little bit more. Now that is kind of interesting because back on the tone page, we can see that the mid-range actually goes down in volume the higher I play. So it could be counterintuitive, and I might do away with that in later renditions of this preset, but it is just a fun way to explore different sounds and different options. You can see as well that I could engage the input boost on any scene that I want. So if I go to my lead scene and choose to engage that with a modifier, then I can definitely do that. And that is being controlled with scene controller number 3. So nothing's happening right now because probably the volume is too low. So if I go back to controllers and then turn this up maybe to 100%, now you can see what is happening. So now the input boost is on. This is a T808 style boost, so you are pushing more mid-range into those higher notes. But if I go back to my rhythm channel, you can see the input boost turns off. then the clean channel, the input boost is also off. So you can do similar things with the saturation switch and the saturation drive for the fat, the cut, high treble, all kinds of stuff. Okay, let's actually move on to the delay now. And you can see that the mix knob is set to a modifier. So if we go in, we can see this is also assigned to the pitch follower. So what this means is on the lead sound, I can play low, chunky rhythm stuff. But as I go up to the higher notes, it automatically adds more delay mix to those higher notes. So I can be playing rhythm on one part and then lead on another part and add in that delay without doing any extra work, which I think is really, really cool. Let's also look at the reverb. Let's go to the clean ambient sound now. And I don't have any parameters assigned to the reverb, but I do on the multi-tap delay. So you can see that the mix is solid yellow. If I click on modifier, this is also assigned to a pitch follower. So what this means is if I play low, so it has a certain mix going on, but as soon as I play high, so very similar to what the delay is doing on the lead channel, the mix of the multi-tap delay is also going up on those higher notes. So it just gives you room to kind of back off the reverb when you want and play lower. And then something very similar on the clean swell is I do have that gain going up a little bit more on scene 6. And also on the output, you can go in to any one of your scenes and you can adjust the level of those scenes. So on scene 4, which is my tremolo, I do have a slight boost on that scene. And then for my swell patch, I also have a boost on that one as well. If you want to stick out even more, you can just raise that up. Maybe we're going to boost it by 2 dB. Go ahead and hit store so we can save that. Go back to my ambient sound. And then go back to my clean sound. So that's what I've been doing with the FM3 as soon as I got it a few days ago. With my knowledge of fractal units in the past, I know that the Axe FX3 is the most powerful and it has the most options. The FM9 is still pretty powerful, but it does give you 2 amp blocks and 2 reverb blocks. And I think also 2 pitch blocks as well. But you'll find really fast on the FM3 that you run out of CPU trying to use too many ambient sounds. And also you just don't have the option of having 2 amp blocks. So that way you get that gapless switching by switching out the amps. So in this way you can use the scene controllers to smoothly adjust your clean, the rhythm, and lead tones all within the same amp block. And you do have gapless switching between each one. So going back to the clean channel. So there you go. There's no gap in any of that switching, and it's just a beautiful sound. So I'm mainly a recording guy. I don't play out in bands. If I did play out in a band, I'd probably use the FM9 because it is more versatile. But for what I do here in the studio, the FM3 is more than enough. I do have a FC12 foot controller I can put on the floor in front of me if I want to adjust things with my feet and have more access to more buttons and switches. So if you're interested in downloading this preset, I do have it available on my website, drmcfarlandstudios.com. And for that one-time payment, you will get access to all future presets that I upload to the site. So go ahead and ask your questions. And if you want to see me build a certain kind of preset, then I can totally do that. Then I'll just upload it to the site for you. And you can go to support me that way if you want. Be sure to subscribe down below and click the bell. And until next time, I'm Dr. McFarland. I'll see you in the next video. Keep rocking.